the Parra podcast, proudly brought to you by Rubbish Removal Kings, The Corner Post, Flash Conveyancing, Parramatta Leagues Club, Wine Barrels Event Hire Sydney, and Wick Coffee, proud sponsors of the Parra podcast. The Corner Post, situated on level 1 at Westfield, Liverpool, shop 1055 is your home for NRL jerseys, collectibles and memorabilia. Look great this NRL season and visit the Corner Post today. Tell them Troy sent you and both follow their Instagram and Facebook pages to keep up to date of what's new. Proud sponsors of the Parra podcast.
Let's go! Welcome back to another show. Hi, how are ya? It's the Parra podcast coming at ya. Turn it up, feel the vibe, blue and gold, step inside the cave. Yeah. Easy try in the corner. Here's your host, Troy Water. Coming to you live from the world famous Parra Cave.
Hi, how are ya? Welcome back to another episode of the Parra podcast, and this is the match review podcast of the Dragons versus the Eels. Or I should have said that the other way around, actually, the Eels versus the Dragons, because it was an Eels home game at Commbank Stadium, and it was their first home game of the year, and it was a massive crowd, 25,573. The atmosphere was great. There was a lot of flags, blue and gold flags, waving in the wind yesterday. Joining me once again to review this, obviously has mixed emotions about this, because I do believe that in the tipping comp he did tip the Dragons, but his team Parramatta did win. Ben from the Corner Post, how are you going? And is that correct? Did you tip the Dragons again this week so the Eels would win?
It is. It is absolutely incorrect. I did tip
Okay.
Parramatta this week, so
Right.
I have proven that the curse is not real. Tipping against
okay.
Parramatta is not what makes us win, so I can happily tip back in Parra's favour again now and be free about that. So that little experiment last week's actually cost me a little bit in our tipping competition, because I think now I sit somewhere in the middle of the pack, whereas I think I worked out the extra tip on top would have had me in the top 30 or something.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Still not looking great. Still not looking great, but there's plenty of time to come back. I think the fella in first place is actually like 3 or 4 games ahead of the rest of us. So he's doing great, that guy. But yeah, no, nonetheless, it's time for a comeback, I think. So early doors, we'll see how it looks at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, that's it. As for the teams in the NRL, it is only round 3, so there is another 24 rounds of tipping to go, so there is a long way to go. Anything can happen. Don't forget, there's also the Joker round as well in there that you can use, and you have to use that wisely to jump back up, get double points in that one. Obviously, the tipping competition is sponsored by Assure Strata Reports, but this is not the tipping podcast. This is the match review podcast, and it was the Eels and Dragons, 30 points to 20. The Eels got the victory over the Dragons. It was great to see. 5 tries to 3. Mitchell Moses kicking 5 from 5. There was a bit of action in this game. There were some injuries in this game. There were some great tries in this game. There was a controversial try in this game. The Dragons started off early. They got the penalty goal to lead 2-0. There was some great defence from the Eels early on after another Dragons penalty, and then we'll get to the first try of the game, and that was the penalty try that was awarded to Talon De Silva. Now, Jonah Pezzett, I should say. Talon scored the second Eels try, but Jonah Pezzett, he was awarded a penalty try. Now, I'll get your thoughts on that one first, and then I'll give my thoughts about that one. What were your thoughts on the penalty try?
Yeah, we briefly touched on this during our NRL NRL round review. I am not quite as upset about this one as a few other people are. I do understand that it's like why it's a bit, I guess, controversial. I'm actually okay with this one. Now, I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion, but as long as they rule on this consistently, if that's the way that they want to rule on it, I'm happy with it. Um, Big thing to point out with this one is it actually did get sent up as a no try, and the referee simply asked the bunker to have a look at the potential for a penalty try, and the bunker not only found potential for a penalty try, but they seem to think they found clear cut evidence of it. So, if that's how they're going to rule it, that's fine as long as they stay consistent. I can understand why some people would think that it should be ruled the opposite way. But I think a real big thing to point out there is that if that's ruled the other way around and we just simply get a sin bin, this game probably looks a lot different in favour of Parramatta because at that point in time, obviously Parramatta scores that try, but then over that next 10-minute period, which that player would have been off, the Dragons scored 2 tries. So the Dragons, two of their 3 tries happened during that time period that they would have had a sin bin. So there's no way they would have had that momentum running in their favour with Parramatta absolutely camped on their try line. It's simply not as much of a game-changing play as people seem to think it is, and I think that's really important to remember in the context of this one.
Well, I don't think it was a penalty try. I don't think you can guarantee that Jonah Pezzett was going to score even from the offload from, I think it was Kit Kat, Kitioni Kartonga. But yeah, there was plenty of Dragons defence there, and I don't think Jonah would have got over the line. I'll have to go back and have a look at it frame by frame, if you like. But I don't think it was a penalty try. Nevertheless, I wasn't the one ruling on it, and they did rule it, and it was the start that Parramatta needed to get that early lead because, as we have seen in the past couple of weeks, forget about round number 1, but definitely against the Broncos, we didn't get off to the good start by scoring first. The Broncos got away with that one. But it was awarded a penalty try to Jonah Pezzett. Now, I was sitting in the Swarm Bay yesterday, which is on the Leagues Club end, the northern end, and sort of behind the goal post, so you can see side-to-side action. I thought there was a shepherd that should have been ruled. That was before the Luciano try, I think it was. But his try just pretty much went straight under the post. And then there was a knock-on call as well. There was a few calls going the Dragons' way early on, wasn't there?
Yeah, look, I definitely thought we were getting robbed quite early on. That's why I actually was quite happy with the Pezzett try being given to us because I really felt like it was a bit of a square up. There was a lot of, especially in that first 10 minutes, there was a lot of calls that were going against us. A lot of forward passes that were missed. I think the Dragons scored one of their tries off a forward pass as well. And then I think we ended up scoring one off a forward pass later on as well, which was a bit of a square up, which I'm happy with. I do like when the referees sort of let it go as a square up. I know a lot of people get sort of touchy about that and think that the rules should be ruled on every single time. But you know, when you make a mistake as a referee and you recognise it, and then you see a sort of a similar situation, you let it go. I think that's actually good refereeing personally. But yeah, look, it was a funny old game of momentum, wasn't it? It seemed to sort of go back and forth, and nobody seemed to really have a grip on this game right up until probably the really terrible injury to Jermaine Hopgood, where we got the 10 in the bin there for us and sort of gained a little bit of momentum back. How did you see that one? Do you think they're saying that it's a potential of 8 to 10 weeks that he could be suspended, that Catchman could be suspended for that one? Do you think that's sort of fair? Do you think that fits the crime?
Well, just before we get to that was after, obviously, the Dragons got out to a 14-6 lead. Jaden Sewer, I think that's the try that you're talking about that was potentially off a forward pass.
Yeah.
But I guess looking at the replay, I think it was, from the angle that I saw it from on the screen, it was sort of... It looked line ball, I guess, but obviously it went backwards to be awarded a try, and the bunker cannot.
Commentary was pretty commentary is pretty adamant that it was a forward pass. They were calling it an NFL pass.
Yeah, yeah. I think because of the small nature of the pass and the speed that it was at, it probably happened also quickly for the referee, I guess, and it just basically looked like he went through untouched. So the Dragons did get out to 14-6, so 8 point gap there. And yeah, the tackle that you're talking about was from Ryan Couchman, and he's been referred straight to the judiciary. That was in the 28th minute. He was sin binned for that one. It was a hip drop tackle. The referee said it was a high risk of injury. He got a grip, and then he got the sin bin. Couchman got the sin bin. It came out late last night, not officially, but I think it was actually, well, not officially, but I think Jason Riles mentioned in the press conference that it is an ACL injury for Jermaine Hopgood. I actually saw him after the game walk to the car park, and yeah, you could obviously tell that there was a limp on him. And yeah, I feel bad for Hoppy because he got suspended for the Brisbane game, and a couple of years ago he had that bad back injury after Origin, so which kept him out for an extended period as well then. So it does look like he is out for the season. So, well, he definitely is out for the season, and won't be back, I guess, until maybe this time, even longer next year. The tackle itself, well, look, it's not the best looking tackle at all. It is probably a classic hip drop tackle, and yeah, unfortunately now, Hoppy's out for the year.
Yeah, and they're saying 8 to 10 weeks for Couchman as well, which I personally I'm fine with that. Like if you're going to end somebody's season with a tackle that the NRL's been cracking down on now for maybe the past 6 or so years, you're going to go out there and do that kind of tackle. You know exactly what not to do. You know exactly what not to do.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm a believer of that players don't go out to injure players. So they don't go out to deliberately do these tackles. This is
100%, and I'm with you on that as well. Like I do think this is an accident, but what I'm saying here is that players by now, it's been years of cracking down on hip drop tackles, years of referees getting involved in opposed sessions and training, years of film and study on what to and what not to do. Players by now shouldn't be having these kind of accidents. They shouldn't accidentally be coming in and sliding down the back of people's knees and doing what we saw Toby do. Now, I think it's a really good example to have him sit on the sideline for an extended period of time to make sure that this doesn't happen to somebody else. Because it's really, really unfortunate. Now, another thing to consider here with Jermaine is he was probably up for an Origin spot this year with the way that he's been playing as well. So not only does he miss the season, not only does he miss the finals, yeah, but he's looking good. He's in form. His body is probably looking the best it's ever looked. Queensland are looking like they need somebody in his position. He was probably in line for an Origin spot this year, well as playing finals, as well as everything else that comes with that. So, it's I'm not going to go to war for it, but I do think that 8 to 10 weeks is probably fair.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait until tomorrow night. I think it's Tuesday nights at the judiciary that case will be on. And look, if we find out any information tomorrow night, we will try and get it to you over the socials. But during that time that Couchman was off the field, and it was Ryan Couchman, actually, not Toby. Talon De Silva scored the first of his
They look the bloody same, don't they?
Well, they are. I think they are twin brothers. So, yeah, that doesn't help. But yeah, it was Ryan Couchman. Talon De Silva scored his first try. It was a pretty good short side play, and it was great backing up from Talon De Silva, as any good hooker should do. But he had a great game, and he actually got our Eels player of the match. So, what did you think of Talon's performance yesterday?
Yeah, look, I was really happy with Talon actually, and it's the first time in a while that I've sort of been able to say that I'm pretty happy with the direction that he's headed with his game. We did know it was going to take a while for Talon to sort of get structured and get set and comfortable at Parramatta, and obviously with the way that Riley Smith's been playing as well, that would be playing on his mind a lot, no doubt as well. So it's really good to finally see him spread his wings a little bit and show us the player that those internally at Parramatta seem to think that he can become, or seem to think that he is. And really, really good. He seems like a good young kid. So it's really good to see him finally sort of getting out there and showing us what he can do. Now, one thing that I was really happy with in this time period as well, with Couchman being off the field, um, I I sort of said it. I sort of said it to my partner right as we were right as that as Couchman went off. I sort of said, "Look, I'm not really happy with the way Parramatta's playing at the moment. But if we can enter the sheds with the lead with this little period, like we've got to score twice in this sin bin period, and we did. We scored twice in that period. We entered the sheds with the lead, and I was pretty happy with at halftime. Like if they had have sort of gone out there and just thrown the ball around a lot, and maybe scored a try, maybe I probably wouldn't have been as happy. But the fact that they went direct, they went for the throat. They could see that St George were on the back foot, that they were tired. They attacked right up the middle, and then they got the points. Now, that's what I want to see from Parramatta week in, week out. We are such a big pack and such a strong pack. We need to be going up the middle more often. We seem to just sort of throw the ball out to the edges and hope that either Addo Carr gets free or Russell gets free or Simonson gets free, and it's becoming a little bit predictable. But now that we're sort of moving the ball infield and we're creating those gaps up the middle, it's going to create those opportunities for the edges more and more.
Yeah, that's for sure. But you're talking about the middle there. One player who definitely stood up yesterday and had to play a lot of minutes as well. Played 43 minutes, 44 minutes yesterday was Sam Tuivasa off the bench. He had a massive game, and he had to do that little bit of extra time as well with Charlie Geimer going off the field at the time as well, Simbind. But yeah, 18 runs, 175 metres. That was a massive effort from Sam, and it was his second game of the year, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him. I thought actually when Junior came back on the field for his second stint, I thought Sam was going to go off. I thought that's what usually happens, but no, I think Jason Riles saw what he was doing and he just kept him on there, and he certainly got those metres, definitely off the back fence as well from kickoffs and the like.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see what they're doing with this rotation of Junior and Sam as well, because I think it's pretty obvious to those of us who sort of see inside the team week in, week out, that Sam is probably going to be the replacement for Junior when Junior does decide to hang up his boots over the next maybe 3 or 4 seasons, depending on how much further he wants to go. I think it's pretty natural to assume that Sam's his hand-picked replacement there, and obviously those two are working together, because you look at their stats here, and their stats are really, really similar across these games. Now, Junior's played 11 more minutes than Sam in this game. Sam's actually got more running meters than him, but their stats across the board are pretty similar. Now, Sam's taking more hit ups, and he's attempted a few more runs as well than Junior. So obviously they've attacked the ball on Sam's side, and they've created those holes. Now, both of these guys, they've got three tackle breaks between them. They've got how many tackles between them? 26 and 34. So 34 to Junior, 26 to Junior. To Sam, sorry. Only probably a little bit concerning stat out of Tuivasi's game there is 4 missed tackles. Probably want to rein that one in a little bit. 2 missed tackles to Junior as well. So,
Yeah, it should be zero missed tackles.
Exactly. Yeah, we want no mistakes. We want robots in our team. But no, look, you see their stats, and they're pretty similar players.
Yeah.
So it's really good that we have a sort of a little, I guess, Junior Paulo 2.0 coming up through the grades as well.
Yeah, that's it. I think there was one point there where I actually put my head in my hands when I think it was Junior did the offload, and I think the Dragons ended up coming up with the ball as well. But That was one mistake I think that Junior made, but look, he's a legend, Junior, and
Yeah, he
I,
does have two errors to his name, so he
I,
could be right there.
I don't know about 3 or 4 years. I don't know if he's got that much left in him. Maybe 1 or 2. I'm not 100% sure, but nevertheless, he's a legend at Parramatta. That is for sure. Um, Second half, Talon da Silva, smart dummy half play, gets his second try, and there was ongoing battles during the game between Mitchell Moses and Clint Gutherson. Obviously, they're great mates, and there was a point there where I think Mitchell put up the chip kick, and it sort of just landed just before Gutho, and I think it might have actually been Talon who made the tackle, but Gutho ended up knocking it on, and there was a few smiles going on between Gutho and Mitchell Moses on the field there. So that was a nice little battle that those two were engaging in.
Yeah, you definitely can't forget the other thing that happened between Mitch and Clint as well. I think there was another little moment there where Mitch put up a big kick and chased it in himself, and ended up absolutely flogging Clint as well. So I don't know if you saw that one at the stadium, but it was replayed a few times on the telly for sure.
And mind you, I
That
don't know. There was
was
one point there where I don't know how he's actually stayed on the field, Clint Gutherson, as well, because he showed the sideline his finger. Did you see his finger? Did you see his finger?
didn't see that one actually.
Well,
I didn't see that one. That must have gone missed.
we all got horrified at the crowd. It was like, oh, look at that. It was basically looking like Brian Fletcher's finger, pinky finger. So I was actually,
Yes. No, I thought you. Yep. Yeah. No, I was the dislocation you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, the dislocation of his
I
finger.
thought you said you could defend the bird.
No. Yeah, no, his dislocation. I didn't know how he could stay on the
Yeah.
field like that, but with that dislocated,
Well,
but he did.
he's dislocated his finger a fair few times. Typically, when you dislocate a finger, you just click it back into place, and it's all good.
Yeah,
As long as there's no like hairline fracture or anything in there, it's kind of like cracking your knuckles. It's just a bit more extreme. So, I think
there you
Clint's
go.
done that a fair few times in his career. To be honest, he's pretty good at it.
Yeah, well, it was an ongoing battle between those two. As I said, they were great mates. But Charlie Geimer, he ended up in the sin bin. He actually ended up playing centre because Jordan Samrani, he went down as well with an injury. And now I haven't heard many reports about the extent of his injury. I have heard an ankle, I've heard a knee, I've heard an ACL, I've heard syndesmosis. So I haven't heard the extent of his injury as of yet. So I'm not sure about that one, but it doesn't look good for Jordan. So Charlie Geimer came on. He ended up playing centre. Did a pretty reasonable job. And then after his sin binning, he did a great defensive effort, which held out the Dragons a second time late in the game.
Yeah, 100%. Now it was pretty interesting that we did have Geimer over in the right centre position as well. Now we'll probably get into a little bit later on of what it probably looks like going forward in that right centre position, because obviously Will Penasini is still injured as well, and that injury is looking like it could be a little bit worse than initially.
Well, let's get into it now
As well.
Let's get into it now.
Let's get into it right now.
You brought it up. Let's bring it up. Let's go.
What do we think? What do we think it looks like over the next few weeks now? So we don't know the extent of Penasini's injury yet. It looks like it's worse than expected. Sam Rani's injury looks like it's going to potentially be season-ending. I hope not. I hope this is just a scare, and he's able to come out of it the other side and back it up in a few weeks' time. But I doubt it. It's looking like it's pretty bad at the moment. Obviously, we can't play Charlie Geimer at right centre across the season. So what do we do? Do we look within? Do we maybe look at a Tago or a Sherry and maybe try to do a swap deal there? Or I feel like we've got pretty good forward depth at the moment, but our back depth is probably not what we want. The backs in New South Wales Cup, apart from Jake Tago, have looked pretty poor over the last couple of weeks as well. They did get absolutely flogged by the Dragons over the weekend as well. So, what do we do here? Do we blood a junior and hope that they swim instead of sink, or do we maybe look outside our roster and see what's on the market?
In terms of looking outside the roster, I don't think that will happen. I don't think there'll be any major transfers from now until. Oh, look, you never know in rugby league anyway. It could happen any time, but I don't think there'll be any major changes. I don't know if we're going after Bronson Cherry at all, but yeah, I don't think we'll go from without go outside. I think probably maybe what will happen is you'll find, look, Brian Kelly's there as well. You've forgotten about him. Brian Kelly's there, so he may just come straight into that centre position that has given way from Jordan Samrani and Will Penasini, that for that matter as well. You could have Jake Tungo come onto the wing and Bailey Simonson go into centre as well. So that's a couple of
Could have
options.
Dylan Walker as well. He was a Dally M
Yeah,
Centre of the Year a few years back.
yeah, I think he was in the start of his career. I think he's more transitioned into a back row player, um, into that lock, maybe hooker sometimes player. I think he's probably transformed in
Mm.
that. At a stretch, yes, he could probably play that position. Yeah, definitely. If there was a
I mean, we've got Guymer there. It's probably not silly to think that you could put Walker there. I don't know what the thinking was with Guymer there because we had the free interchange to use Joash. So I'm actually quite interested to hear the reasoning behind
well,
putting Guymer into that position.
I was hearing yesterday that Joash played New South Wales Cup yesterday. So that was potentially the reason why he didn't get a run.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Because he was
so
available. Like we did get the free interchange because of the hip drop on Hopgood.
yeah,
So we were able to pick who we wanted for that free interchange.
but he played halfback yesterday for New South Wales Cup, so
Mm.
I dare say that's why he wasn't picked. So, and look, that's good for Joe Ash. Obviously, he gets some minutes into the legs and some football under his belt. After the game, as well, after the first grade game, he was seen on the field doing some sprints, I guess you could say, up and back, just to keep that the legs going, I guess, and the match conditioning going. But yeah, I think either Brian Kelly will come straight in, and then you don't necessarily have to make a massive reshuffle, or Jake Tungo will come onto the wing, and then Bailey Simonson comes into the centres. But I would probably go for the easy option and probably just put Brian Kelly straight into that centre position.
Yeah, fair enough. That's probably a good way to go about it as well. Whether they stick Brian Kelly on his preferred left side and maybe even move Sean Russell over to the right. Well, I guess we'll probably know around about this time tomorrow anyway when the team lists come out for Penrith. But speaking of sprints, one player that I was planning on bringing up until very close to the end of this game, Josh Adokar. Now, I was quite curious up until about the 72nd minute of this game where Josh Adokar had been this year because we haven't really seen the best out of him at all this season. And it was starting to look to me like, I know we're only in week 3, but it was starting to look to me like maybe he's lost a step or maybe he's sort of not playing up to his potential. But then he does what the Fox does and showed us an absolute piece of magic with that incredible acceleration that he's got to get around the opposition winger to score that try in the 72nd minute, and all of those thoughts that I had just magically went away. So it was planned to be a segment for this show, but then yeah, he just went out there and just showed us what he can still do. So
But
I'm looking forward to Josh having a good season.
But you have forgotten who got the ball to Josh. It was very good, quick thinking and a good pickup from Sean Russell.
Yeah, 100%. Now Sean is playing good football at the moment. I've got to give him credit for that. There was one actually early on in the game. If I'm going to be fair to Sean, because I do like to criticise him a little bit. There was one fairly early on in the game where I think he was running free and he did the early ball to Josh Adokar and sort of put him into a bit of a cul-de-sac. But that was sort of a theme of this game across the whole game. There was a lot of really clunky attack from both sides in this match. And that was sort of a bit of an example of it from us there as well. So there was a little bit of that going around in this game, but I'm definitely glad to see Josh Adokar finally on the board.
Yeah, but getting back to the Fox, he did his job yesterday. Obviously, he scored that try. That's his job, scoring tries. But it was great to see him in open pasture, and but also diffusing kicks as well. He's a great person under the high ball. You never really see him make an error under the high ball, even under pressure as well. So, I might have put the fan curse on him now, and hopefully not next week he doesn't do that and drop the ball. But
211 meters for him in this game and 2 errors to his name. So even with a couple of errors in his game, he was still looking absolutely brilliant.
Well,
so I wouldn't be too worried about putting the curse on him.
It's fair to say that 60 of those were in his try. So
yeah, well,
and then the big, I think it was. I'm not much of a wrestling fan, but I think it was a Batista move at the end of the try. Is that right? Do you know your wrestling?
No, I'm not a wrestling fan myself.
Okay.
I'd rather watch paint. I'd rather watch paint dry, to be honest. But I think they called that the Frank the Tank.
Oh, okay.
I think somebody's called that Frank the Tank. You and I are both V8 Supercar fans, and I think it was James Courtney used to do that every time he won a race. He used to get up on the roof of his car and do that little Frank the Tank sort of machine gun celebration. So that's from something. Somebody would tell us what the reference is, but that to me was just a James Courtney celebration.
Okay, fair enough. Well, someone will let us know what it is, but there we go. Just a couple other stats to run through. Riley Smith, 50 tackles. Jack Williams, 50 tackles as well. Kelma, 36. Now, I wasn't too happy with Kelma yesterday because he started the game with his headgear on. And after last week's game, I thought, what's doing there? You got your headgear on, mate. Get it off. And look, you must have listened to the fans because he did take it off and he did play the rest of the game without it. So, unfortunately, he didn't score a double like he did the week before, but 36 tackles, which is a great effort. Mitchell Moses and his kicking game, well, that really sort of put the Dragons on the back foot, didn't it? Because 19 kicks, 750 metres. Now, it does look like...
Unreal.
It is. It puts the Dragons on the back foot. Even when Parramatta can be in trouble at times, he can just get the ball on the boot and just boot it downfield and suddenly they're down the Dragons' end. But it does look like it is going straight to the fullback all the time, but it's that distance factor and it's the hang time as well for the chasers to get underneath it and make that tackle on what was yesterday Clint Gutherson.
Yeah, 100%, and that's sort of what we alluded to earlier on as well. Like Mitchell was able to get enough hang time under one of those balls that he caught up to Gutherson himself. So it was a bit of an off day as well from Jonah Pezzett too. So it was good that Mitch could sort of take the reins there and reel the game in the way that he did. So I think without Mitch's kicking game in that game, we'd probably lose this by 10, 14 points or something like that. So it was definitely the difference maker, and it definitely shouldn't go unspoken about too, because 750 kicking meters, that is absolutely unreal at the best of times. So that's definitely a key factor for what my 1, 2, 3 at the end of this will be. So my players of the match. Another one that I do want to give a bit of love to as well, somebody that I'm sort of yo-yoing about the opinion of, Bailey Simonson, 255 running meters and 4 tackle breaks in this game. He had an absolute blinder of a game as well. So I think he had 7 tackles as well with 0 missed tackles in this game. So definitely showed up today, Bailey, or not today, but
yesterday
showed up in that match. Yeah, so he definitely showed up. So if he's able to play like that all year long, I don't see a reason why he can't keep that spot.
Yeah, look, not a lot of people did mention him as a player of the game, but I did notice him take up those hard yards. Definitely, as you said, 255 meters. That's nothing to sneeze at for sure. And look, he just simply just did his job. He was taking those hard carries early on in the tackle count, and look, didn't do anything flashy, didn't score a try or anything, but yeah, did his job. And as you said, I think he will retain his spot, that's for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, you go back a couple of years, and 255 meters is close to the NRL record. It's obviously been surpassed now. I think there was a Toto game last season where he went absolutely stupid and went like 340 meters or something like that. But you go back a couple of years, and that 255 is actually close to the record. I think for a while there, the record was 272, which I think was Gutherson for us.
Maybe that might be for an outside back. I think Jason Taumalolo, he's done over 400, I think, in a game, I think. I'll have to go back and have a look. Someone will tell us, but I'm pretty sure I've heard 400 in one game. But
it's good meters is the point that we're
100%.
making here.
Yeah,
It's really good. It's like you said, it's nothing to sneeze at.
yeah, definitely. So just before we wrap this up, a couple of other stats. 50 possession throughout the game, but the good thing for Parramatta was the fact that their completion rate was up high at 86%, and as we have seen during the competition so far, if you can hold the ball, you'll go a long way to winning a football game. The Dragons only had 74% completion rates, that's for sure. Well, you mentioned 3-2-1s just before there. Who are your 3-2-1s in this game?
I'm still sort of yo-yoing over who my one is, but my three is going to be Talon. I think that's pretty obvious. He was man of the match, and very, very well deserved man of the match for Talon. Great to see him picking it up. My two I will give to Bailey. I think Bailey deserves a bit of love for how he played yesterday. He didn't score a try in that match, but definitely well deserved with his run meters and what he did there. And who will I give my one to? I'm half tempted to give it to Josh Adokar just because I love that try that he scored. Isaiah Iongi's always good. You know what? I'm going to give it to Tuivasa. I feel like he had a really good game off the bench.
Yeah, no, definitely. He had a massive game yesterday. Look, I'm going to go 3 points to Talon De Silva, I should say. And yeah, scoring those two tries, had his best game in the Parramatta Eels jersey by far. My two will go to Sam Tuivasa. Absolutely caned it off the back fence, and he put off some big tackles too, that I noticed in the middle for sure. I certainly definitely would not be wanting to be on the end of those. My one, well, look, it's always hard. I mean, yeah, I think Bailey Simonson as well. Give him one. I mean, Isaiah Iongi, he just turns up every single week. He does cop a little bit of criticism, believe it or not, for dropping some high balls, and he's only played like 26 first grade games, so experience will come.
Could have Mitchell Moses in there too, if he's 750 kicking meters.
Yeah, so yeah, there was a few players there that could have got points in this one, but it was, a real good team effort, and it's always easier to do a review podcast when Parramatta wins, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Now this has definitely been a bit of fruit for us because obviously that week one was no good. But we'll see how we're feeling this time next week because we do have a tough opponent coming up next.
Yeah, so at the conclusion of the weekend, the Eels move up to 9th position on the ladder, which is a improvement from last week. I think last week they started the week at 12th. So ever so closely.
I've got a curiosity for you on this one because I'll let you finish your point, but I do have a curiosity about the ladder that I'm going to ask you about.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so how do you view the ladder? Because obviously the way that it's structured at the moment in the NRL, we've got an uneven amount of teams and we do have to have a bye each week. So how do you view the ladder? Do you put everybody's bye points on early or do you go week by week? Because the way that I see it right now, we're actually in the top 8 because we're ahead of the Tigers, but they're obviously got an extra bye on top of us. So how do you see it? Do you like to go week by week, or do you like to account for the buys that have already happened ahead of you?
Well, yeah, I really don't know. I guess I mean, there's no, yeah, I don't know. There's no real point in just doing it straight at the start of the season. Just give every team 6 points. Could be like the AFL and just don't give any points in the bye weeks because it's going to be even for everybody that way. You don't get any points in the bye weeks in terms of scoring on field, so your for and against doesn't go up or down. So why not just give no points for the bye? Why do you?
But how do you look at it when you read the ladder though? Like when you're reading the Tigers are ahead of us now, but then they've got the extra bye. Do you sort of just correct it in your own mind, or what's your thought process?
Oh well, I know at the end of the day. Yeah, well, I mean, you could say that Parramatta are ahead of the Tigers because they've won one game, we've won two. So, yeah, I mean, you could think it like that, but that's just not the way it is at the moment. I mean, the Dolphins have won two games as well, but they're below the Tigers. So, the only reason the Tigers are there is because they've got their bye points. So, yeah, as I said, it's fair for everybody because they do get the 2 points.
Fair enough.
When their bye comes around. But I mean, you could say that Parramatta are the better team than the Tigers. You could say that Newcastle are a better team than the Tigers. The Dolphins are a better team than the Tigers at the moment because they've won two games, but the Tigers have only won one.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough as well. I personally like to look at it like you're sitting behind a team and they've got the extra bye. You sort of say, oh well, realistically, if you correct it, we're ahead of them. So
Oh well,
for me,
yeah,
I feel like we're a top eight team right now because if you do correct that ladder, we are in the top eight. So it's looking good. In other words,
yeah. The thing that I guess because of Parramatta's bad performance down in Melbourne, having a for and against after that game of -48, that is something that I guess now we probably don't have to worry about. All the things that we need to worry about is just winning games and getting those 2 points, and then the points will come in the end as well. That's the big thing that's against Parramatta at the moment. They've got the third, fourth. What do they got? One, two, three, four. They got the fifth worst for and against. So um, even if they were in that top eight,
if you actually if you have a look at that too, a lot of those teams that are sort of around us, you've got Manly and the Cowboys who have a better for and against than us right now, but you imagine that'll change over the next couple of weeks. You've got Brisbane who are sharing that same points differential with us. You've got the Raiders who have a worse one, the Roosters who have a worse one, Dragons, and obviously the Titans who have a worse for and against as well. So we're actually not in bad company. And considering how we started the year, it's actually not looking as bad as it probably was. Now, I would have probably preferred over the last couple of weeks if we added in a couple of late tries just to sort of fix that up a little bit more. But considering how it could have been, the way that we were sitting in week one, I'll take it.
yeah. But as I said, you just want to concentrate on winning games and getting those 2 points, and then it doesn't really matter what your for and against is. Obviously, if you're winning games, and obviously your defence is going to be better than the opposition's, and that figure will come down. But if you worry about that figure, then you're going to be throwing the ball around and making mistakes and stuff like that just to score points. But I mean, if you said to me 2 out of 3 wins at the start of the year, is what Parramatta would have, then I'd be pretty happy with that because not a lot of people tipped us to beat Brisbane up in Brisbane in round two. We did that, and then we obviously got the Dragons this week, so that's 2 out of 3. So Meatloaf agrees as well. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And look, it's going to be difficult next week rolling into the Panthers. They are on fire, 3 from 3. They do know how to score a lot of points, and their defence is pretty solid as well. They've only got 10 against points, so the Roosters scoring only 4 against them last week. So it's going to be tough. That game is at Commbank Stadium. Now, it is a Panthers home game, unfortunately, but let's try and get as many blue and gold supporters there as possible and turn it blue and gold and get that atmosphere blue and gold at Commbank Stadium because, as the old saying goes, paradise is ours. That is our home ground. Yes, the Panthers are using it at the moment, but it is our home ground. So we'll delve more into that in our preview podcast, not the review podcast like I said last week. It'll be our preview podcast. And look, I'm going to try and get a special guest to join us for our preview podcast. I don't know if you'll be able to do it or not, but I'll see if I can get a special guest, and we'll have a bit of fun during that one, no doubt. But Ben, that's the review for the Dragons and Parramatta. So that's obviously a good one. Another one wrapped up. Thank you very much for joining me again. And look, listeners, don't forget, jump into Westfield Liverpool Level 1. Get your NRL merchandise. Get your Eels merchandise especially at the corner post. Go and annoy Ben. Chew his ear off. He loves talking rugby league and especially Parramatta. So go in there, buy some merch and help out a great family business. Ben, thank you very much for joining me once again.
Thank you very much, and I will absolutely welcome anybody who wants to come in and chew my ear off. It's literally exactly what I live for here. So I love when the fans come in and have a chat and mention the podcast and let us know how much they enjoy listening to us, and it always brings a smile to my face. So come on in, come and see us. You don't have to buy anything. Come in and have a chat. I'd obviously prefer it if you did buy something, but come in and have a chat. Everyone's welcome. We'll see you in store.
Thanks for listening to another